Are you ready to learn? Let's start, shall we? But first, let me show you something, and you can tell me whether you have experienced this or witnessed this. Okay. So for the first picture, I'm going to tell you what we have here. So for the first picture, we have a group of children chilling in a playroom, I guess, with their phones. And the second picture shows a family also hanging out, where they look more enjoyable compared than the children, but always have a technology or gadgets in their hands. Okay, so tell me if you've experienced this. Since none of you cannot relate to this, so let me share you my own experience and from what I witnessed throughout my life. So actually there are a lot of examples here. If you have to see, let's just give an example that you went to a restaurant, you can see the situation a lot where the family are having a meal, okay, but you see all the kids are having a gadgets. So sometimes they watch YouTube Kids, Cocomelon on their phone. Okay, so I think like maybe the parents might think that that is a very good way to avoid their child having a tantrum at a restaurant. But for me, that's very disappointing because family dinner time, despite different occasion where we're supposed to have it at home, but now we are at a restaurant, we need to respect the people. That maybe instead of giving a gay shots, maybe we can just interacting with them, like engage them in every conversation, not just in the conversation that only you and the adults or the teenage kids with. Engage them as well in the conversation, not making them feel left out. Rather than having a very long story about my experience, shall we be moving to our topic now? So, my name is Nurul Dalila Afina binti Anuar, and I've done sharing my own experience and my own witnessing or my own observation. So, I'm going to share to you what I am trying to tell you from my experience just now, which is social disconnect and what technology do to us. Okay, so social disconnect. Okay, so just now I've shared with you my experience, my observations, so maybe you guys can already relate with this topic. Okay, so let me tell you and go deeper into what is social disconnect. Okay, so social disconnect is kind of also known as social isolation. Okay, so isolation. Isolation is really very closely related with loneliness. Okay, so by looking at this, maybe we can think that social disconnect is really the new form of mental health for our generation nowadays. Because our generation nowadays is always tend to have gadgets in their hands, right? Okay, so even maybe some of you guys are playing with your phones right now. That is a new form of mental health actually. Okay, because we don't really have interaction with each other, so that is why it is called social isolation. You're playing gadgets, no talking with each other, social isolation. I guess, and actually the real reason why we tend to relate this is because it can cause schizophrenia and autism. Okay, so schizophrenia is very general. We've already known this. Schizophrenia is like a mental health where they tend to make their own friends. I mean, that kind of friends, if you know what I meant. The friends that we don't really see, but only they see. Okay, so the one that we can call as a hallucination as well. This is because they don't really interact with anyone. So they literally get separated with their real life, with the reality. They have their own world, so they are making their own friends. Okay, and the next one is autism among children. So autism is very wide actually, but I'm going to focus on only speech delay. This is because children always have gadgets in their hands. Like I said in my experience just now, they don't talk with their parents, their families, their sisters, their brothers. So this is why they are not communicating. So which lead to speech delay. So speech delay, which is equivalent to autism. Okay. Social isolation or social disconnect. Okay, so I think I've briefly explained to you just now in the previous slide, but that's simply because social isolation means too much phones, not talking, social isolation. Okay? So maybe we should relate with our own experience, like how I mentioned in the beginning, how we are hanging out with our friends and we are playing our phones. That's not right, right? Yeah, so maybe we should just try to put our phone down and hang out and cherish every moment. Yeah, so lack of social interaction, similar type of social isolation. So I'm like disrespectful in my opinion, because like we are trying to having a conversation. Just imagine you are trying to engage a conversation with someone, and that someone is not even trying to listen to you. They're literally just too busy with their phones. So that's very disrespectful. If that person was me, I'll very offended, and maybe I will not hang out at all with that person, because maybe that was gonna be the last time for me to hang out with them. Okay, that is one of the effects of social disconnect, lack of social interaction. The next one is tendency to rely on technological devices. Oh, I mean, like, all of us can relate to this. If I show you in the next slide, we have a few logos, so maybe you guys can realize it at first sight, like what that logo is. Okay, so the rely to I mean, over reliance to towards technological devices. Okay, so for example, let me give you an example. As all of us drives, right? So I mean, like the generation nowadays, they don't really know the direction that well. Like how the older generation tends to have a very good memories of directions. All of us are not. Okay, so reliable. So we're going to use Waze or Google Maps for our directions. Okay, and the next one is like the tendency to rely. Okay, so maybe like instead of asking your teachers or friends or the elderly, like trying to ask from their own experience and everything, we tend to Google a lot, right? Like if we don't know anything, we will Google. Everything gonna be Google, 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 Google. So that's not very good to me. Maybe we should try to ask some people, anyone, like as human, not the technologies, because maybe Google knows everything. But that's just in general. Maybe we can go and ask people and ask from their own perspective, because different people, different perspective, right? Yeah, so here we are. We have three logos. I mean, three icons. I think all of you have recognized this. One of them are Google's. Second one is YouTube's, and third one is Waze. Okay, so Waze for directions, Google for anything, and YouTube for anything as well. I mean, like if you don't know how to cook, they say just Google it. Google will have the recipe. If you don't know how to do it, just search it on YouTube. They have videos. Like how all peoples have different approach. Like some people need visual, some people need hands-on. Okay, like for me, I am a very visual person. I can learn from image, I can learn from videos, so I'll tend to go to YouTube. Okay, that's not good actually, because we are too rely to technological devices. Because imagine if one day we don't have technological devices, something would be dead because we don't know how to do anything. So that's the only time that we can go to ask everyone. So like guys, let's just step into reality, go and ask anyone. If you don't know, ask them, because not Google doesn't have all the answers actually. Okay, so try to approach people. So that is the perspective of oneself on how it affects you yourself. Okay, so how about our social life? Social life. How does this affect social life? So I would rather go a bit more further than just go closer. So I'm going to show you a study. So this study is administered by National Center for Health Statistics. Because so the tech of the as a few adults, which is ranging from the 40 to 50 years old adults. Because so we're going to have a survey with them. So we're going to ask how isolated are them, whether they are very isolated or whether they are less isolated. Okay, so long story short, okay, I'm going to tell you on the results of the statistic. Okay, so we can see from the graph here. So we have a graph of survival percentage versus months since interview. So this survey takes months for them to complete it. Okay, so this is because we need to see how the isolation affect their lifestyle, affect their mortality, to be very closer. Okay, so mortality, if you know what's mortality, is like the life expectancy of someone. So like you can see here, the it has four types of lines. Okay, so one line is for most isolated, very isolated, another one is isolated and not isolated, and somewhat isolated. If I see. So and as the months goes by, the one with the most isolated person in the survey, they have a very less survival percentage. Okay, so less survival percentage equal to is equivalent to having a very high mortality. If I say very high mortality, they are likely to have a very short life expectancy. Okay, so this is because technology make us very lazy. Okay, so it has equally affected our lifestyle. So where you don't really walk, you don't really exercise, you don't really do any activities, you just literally will lay down and play your phones, play your mobile phones, watch YouTubes, watch dramas on your phones. Okay, so that is what a very unhealthy lifestyle, if I say it. Okay, so unhealthy lifestyle lead to higher mortality, low life expectancy. Okay, so I guess listening to all that might have scared you a bit, like low life expectancy due to gadgets. Oh no. I mean, like all of us want to live long. Like I want to live long as well. I want to get married, have child, get some jobs. But low life expectancy means no husband, no kids, no your own hard work and money. Okay? So how to overcome this? Okay, so as you can see, I'm showing you two pictures. How to overcome this? If you can spot the similarity, you can tell me, but let me just tell you, I mean, that's much easier. Okay, so in these two pictures, the similarity is no gadgets. Okay, so the only ways to overcome this is just to put your phones away. Like when you hang out or having a family dinner, having a family gathering, meeting some friends, put your phones down, have conversation. I mean, we are meeting each other after so long, let's talk. So I guess this has come to end. So I'm just going to leave you with one sentence for you to reflect. Okay, so just connect to connect. Okay, guys, reflect a bit deeper and see what it really means. Thank you.